Cheers.
My name is Rebeca Herrera, and I am the Membership Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Janine McKenna, who is our President and CEO, wasn't able to make it, but she sends her regards. I am so excited today. I have two of my favorite people here.
Hey.
I have Tina Khan, who is a facilitator, and Deon Morrow, who is a graduate of Leadership Emporia Academy. I went through the Leadership Emporia Academy with Deon. I was class of 35, and Tina was our facilitator, one of the facilitators, and it was so much fun. So I'm just going to pass it over to Tina, just so you can give an introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself. And then Deon, if you can do the same.
Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for having us. And Deon, it's so great to see you again. I am Tina Khan, and I am with the Kansas Leadership Center. I'm a full-time teacher there, and I work with adaptive leadership, predominantly in community context. And so I take our framework and travel domestically and internationally, often to spread adaptive leadership in these tools and these set of behaviors to communities abroad.
That is amazing, amazing. Deon.
I'm a graduate of Leadership Academy. We met in Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
We've worked together. I'm a hometown boy. I'm from Emporia, Kansas, born and raised. Left and played college football and ran track at Oklahoma State University. And then I came back to Emporia because I really wanted to see a change. And now I'm the executive director of House of Morrow and a part-time salsa instructor.
Nice,
Nice. How often are you teaching salsa?
Well, it was every month at one point, so I still got it though.
That's great.
So starting October, it'll be monthly again.
This is great. Congrats.
Yes. So let's talk about adaptive leadership space. We're going to be talking a lot about different topics that we talk about in Leadership Emporia. And one of them is understanding adaptive leadership. So, Tina, what can you tell me about that, and how can we use that in today's world?
Yeah, the idea of adaptive leadership is rooted from the Kennedy Leadership School at Harvard, really been coined by Ron Heifetz and Marty Linsky. And it's this idea that leadership starts with you, and it's a bandwidth and it's a stretching of your ability, your skills, your knowledge, and really your comfort to do some things differently, to see some change in the system. And it's this idea that pushes up against a traditional leadership that there is an individual with a title and a position that holds the capabilities of change to exercise leadership in a system. And we understand that if we adopt different sets of behaviors, that if everyone is exercising leadership, what effects we might see within our organizations and across businesses. But I'm really passionate about adaptive leadership in the sense it's not characteristics, right? It's not like the 10 characteristics of high-performing leaders.
Right.
And it's not something that we can attain, as if I can check this box or embody this, I too am a leader. We're all leaders. Right. It's a verb. It's an action. It's an exercise of doing things differently. It's this idea of saying, this is how we've always done it. What needs to be done to see some change and to see some things being done more effectively? So it's rooted in this curiosity of what might be done different.
Right. So what I noticed going through Leadership Emporia was a lot of self-reflection and growth. Mm-hmm. So Deon, what can you tell me about the self-reflection that you had and what type of growth you had and how your life has changed from when you started Leadership Emporia to where you are now? And we took Leadership Emporia last September, so September of 2022.
It's coming up on a year.
Yeah, it's a year now. So tell me how your year has been ever since you went through this course.
So my year's been pretty fast. I think everybody can feel right now time is kind of moving pretty quickly. But I've been able to make leaps and bounds personally and for the community with what I've learned from Leadership Emporia. It's one of those things where if you put into it, you get the most that you can out of it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet really good people, and we've worked together on a few projects. But one of the major takeaways from that course that Leadership Emporia is that just being able to listen, stop and listen and see what people need, and then seeing if you are adapted or you have those skills to serve them properly. And I think the growth part for me is, like, I'm one of those people where, okay, I want to take charge, I want to do everything myself. And going through that course made me realize, hey, there's people out there that are probably better equipped to do this. You need to let go of the reins a little bit and let them do what they need to do and trust them to fulfill. And that also comes to like changing my leadership style. So now I'm more leaning on finding good people at what they do and then placing them in the exact spot to be successful.
With that said, I want to talk about one of my favorite exercises that we did in Leadership Emporia, which was, tell me your personality. Are you upper right, upper left, lower right, lower left?
The Kolb inventory.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know me, I'm like, go, go, go. Like, I want to get stuff done. I want to do stuff.
Upper left, Rebecca, right?
I'm a complete upper left. I mean, I'm like so up left. It was crazy,
Right.
And the guy that was sitting beside me, he was like lower right. And I was like, I was thinking, I was like, we're so different. I wonder what his is, and yeah, our minds are completely different. So. Yeah. Tina, do you want to touch base a little bit about what those 4 personality traits are and how you characterize those 4 categories?
Yeah, that's super interesting. And the reason that activity, like many personality assessments, but the Kolb inventory is the learning, thinking, working styles. Like how we take in information, learning, how we process it, think about it, and then working, how its output is then engagement with others, right? So different than a Myers-Briggs or different than like a color assessment, like you're a blue or you're an orange.
Right.
But it's to understand characteristics of how you take in that knowledge and then work with it with others. In understanding, we have totally different approaches with how we see the world with new knowledge, right? So I take in knowledge, and I'm like very much so on upper left like you. I'm very tactile. I need to do something with it. So I take in new knowledge, process it, and my output is I need to try something. What if I do this, right? Mm-hmm. Right? And then we move around these quadrants. And what you experience is, to your point, our diagonals are a complete opposite approach for how they process and work with information. And this is where we encounter conflict on teams and projects, and where you often just say, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to take charge and take care of it. But that's not engaging others, right? Mm-hmm. That's not growing our systems and engaging others. And the point of this adaptive leadership is it must engage others, right? It behooves no one if I'm doing this work alone. Right. It behooves no one. Yeah. So I think that's a really great activity and awareness to see who around me and, am I needing to engage? That bottom right, that's your diagonal, may be the number 1 person you need to mobilize in your system.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I just remember thinking when we were working in our groups, Tim was the guy that was in our group. Sure. And he's just, amazing person, and just the way that he thinks is so different than mine, but yet when we started working together, I felt like our force was so much stronger because he was bringing in a completely different point of view than I would have thought of. And he was like, Rebecca, you're the risk taker. You're the one, you just want to go. Yeah. And he's like, okay, hold on. Let's think about it. Let's rationalize this. I'm like, no. We got 5 minutes. Let's do it fast. Right. He's like, wait, we have to do this and we have to do it. And I'm like, oh my God, you're stressing me out, But it really worked out because towards the end, I was starting to rationalize and he was more like, okay, I think we're ready, So we were bouncing off of each other. And I love the fact that we started working together and really learning how to adapt with each other's leadership skills. Yeah. So it was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. Which brings me to the next point, which is leading through change. What can you tell me regarding this? Leading through change. How some people come in and they start off so different, and then once they go through this, then there's all these changes in their life. What can you tell me? How can we put this in a work environment versus a personal,
Yeah. So the old adage that people and humans resist change, they're fearful of change. They're not. In fact, humans are resistant to the perceived or real loss associated with change. There is a real or perceived loss that's associated if this change takes effect, right? And so they're acting upon that first. And so humans are resistant to change. No. And so the ability to speak to loss. What is that loss for you, right? What might affect you if this happens in our system, right? Be very curious about that change for them. But I think this work that's so beautiful about Leadership Emporia Academy is it starts in a personal space. Mm-hmm. The opportunity to be together in a class in this cohort for an entire semester And you approach it when you come in thinking very work-oriented. I'm going to think about work. I'm going to think about my supervisors and my colleagues.
Right.
And something shifts midway and it becomes very personal.
Yes.
And you see these are sets of behaviors and ways to start looking at things and being very curious about those diagonals around us, and how it affects you and how you might deploy it socially, either in your family, some social circles, to start trying some things to see how we might affect that change and navigate with others socially and personally before we get into the workspace. So I think it's really impactful. It starts socially, and you have the opportunity to do that in Leadership Emporia Academy.
I love that. I love that so much. All right, which brings me to my next question. Let's talk about DEI. How does this program help us with multicultural changes and, with diversity, equity, and inclusion? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think if I were to get up on the balcony and look at what's most effective in this space of adaptive leadership in the complete entirety of it, I think two things elevate. The ability to start where they are at and speak from the heart. If we do those two things really well, we'll make some progress. The ability to start where they at in a space of DEI, inclusion, equity, BIPOC communities, LGBTQ plus communities, the ability to start where they at is not my presumption, meaning it is not upon me as a white, middle-aged, middle-class female to assume where they're starting at, wherever that's starting at. It's going to require a walk alongside one another and me to really shut my mouth and listen. And that's going to require me to just ask a question and literally shut my mouth, if I could say it very bluntly. And we're not really good at doing that in this society.
Right.
We're not really good at that.
Right. And what I learned as a Latina, who advocates for Latinos, I realized that all of our hardships and our troubles are the same. It doesn't matter if you're a white upper class man or a lower, when you have a challenge at work and you're trying to be a leader, you have the same issues arise. You have the same type of, things that happen. And with these skills, I feel like you have the tools to keep moving forward. I felt like we all went in the class, maybe a little some felt like they didn't belong. Some felt like, I don't need this class, but we all left as a family and we all felt like we were all the same. And I really, really liked that about Leadership Emporia. What did you think, Deon? What was your take on that?
So, going into it, I'll speak to what Tina said. It's very much one of those things where your job kind of sends you to it. And, if you let that be the only way of thinking, you're only going to get so much out of it. But what I've gotten out of it is that, yes, we all have the same kind of goal. You want your kids to have fresh air and clean water, all that kind of stuff. That's a given. And then, really understanding that this change that we're going about, it's given us the tools to navigate it. Change is inevitable, but the skills that you learn from Leadership Emporia helps you navigate and make people feel comfortable in that space, to be able to have everything going crazy around you, but still being able to use the tools that you need to move forward. And I think that's what I've gotten out of Leadership Emporia. And then when it comes to being a person of color, there's certain things that we have to navigate differently. And then I think Leadership Emporia helped us put all those things out on the table and discuss those and see where we can connect and be together on certain topics.
Deon, you said something really resonated with me. You said be comfortable in that space. And I was thinking about, we promote so much in adaptive leadership, the ability to sit comfortably in uncomfortable spaces in order to have a conversation differently. Right? And the ability to do that is where we might make some progress. If we can together sit comfortably in a really uncomfortable space and have a conversation differently, we might be less this. We just might.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and for, giving me some of your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Rebecca.
I encourage you to sign up for Leadership Emporia. We're now taking applications. So if you would like to go on our website, it's down below. We would love to have you guys send an application to see if you get picked to be a part of it. So before I let you guys go, what is one point of advice that you both can give to the audience that are watching us? Tina as a facilitator and Deon as a class graduate.
What do you think?
I think my advice is just to be open and experience it. Just truly let yourself experience it, because these people did the research. These people worked really hard to get this information to you. So be open and receptive and see how it not only affects your business, but your personal life.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Leadership Emporia Academy is really unique in that it's experiential learning. You experience visceral learning within yourself, and how you can replicate and go out and deploy yourself in your different spaces. So yeah, I invite you to come to experience it. I invite you to experience.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to just be a part of this and letting us know a little bit about Leadership Emporia Academy and, you know, as a graduate, what you thought. So that's wonderful. But before you let you go, I want to do a sweet tip, okay?
Hello, and welcome to today's sweet tip of the day. I want to talk to you about signing up for Leadership Emporia Academy. It's very, very simple, and here are the steps. First thing we're going to do is go to emporiakschamber.org, and once we're on the website, we're going to go under Get Involved. We're going to scroll down a little bit where it says Leadership Emporia. So once we are here, you can see what Leadership Emporia Academy is and what it's not. And here is the schedule. So the opening retreat for day 1 and 2 is September 21st and 22nd. And then it's every other Thursday. So October 5th, 19th, November 2nd, November 16th, November 30th, and December 8th is the celebration luncheon. It's from 8 to 5, and here is the application. All you have to do is fill this out, go next. Oh, it's not going to let me go next because I have to fill it out. However, it does give you a couple of questions, and all you have to do is fill it out and submit it and wait and see if you are picked to be a part of the program. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed today's sweet tip of the day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.